Welcome back to Grow Your Impact, Income, and Influence. If you are somebody who has ever thought about selling something on Amazon, maybe messing around in the supplement markets, this is going to be a really interesting show for you. If you are somebody who either has the precursors for dementia or knows somebody in your family that has Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, this show is also going to be for you. We're going to talk to somebody who ran a marathon after almost having to use a walker from those two things. My guest today, Mark. Mark, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm doing great. Thanks, Steve.
Well, so talk to me about, like, you ran a marathon after retiring, after finding out that you had Parkinson's. How does that happen?
Well, carefully. Essentially, I ran the marathon at Michael J. Fox's marathon run in Washington, D.C., after I had stayed on a supplement that I had come up with and perfected and taken myself. And I was able to go from stage 3 Parkinson's to stage 1, able to run that marathon along with mainly other people that were running for people with Parkinson's. Okay. And that was exciting, that I was out there running, and I made it at the end. I got a medal. They handed me a medal and said, great job. And I had a couple of people coming around me saying, what in the world are you taking? Because whatever I'm taking ain't working. And those are my first orders.
So, I mean, first off, running a marathon for anyone is definitely a trial. Marathons can be
Yeah.
a lot. I don't run as much as I used to, but I'm a runner, and I can't imagine going from, like, I've seen people with Parkinson's. I actually, a long time ago, in a land far, far away, I waited on Michael J. Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to shake his hand and talk to him a little bit. And
Right.
going from that to running seems crazy. You said
Yeah.
that it started with a supplement. So you retired from you owned a computer business that you
Yeah.
retired from. You were in retirement. You found out you had Parkinson's first, and then you found out you had Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
and you didn't like hearing that. So talk to me about, like, how this supplement came to be.
Sure. Well, I'm not a person I'm an entrepreneur, number one. I always have been. So for me, that never gets out of your blood. I don't care how old you get. Okay. You want to do things, you want to change the world. That's important. And in doing so, I needed to change my world first. And in doing so, I did a lot of research on what doctors were giving out and what doctors had given me for Parkinson's. And it was invented in the 60s. And they were still giving out the same stuff. And they have what's called a honeymoon effect. The honeymoon effect means after 5 years, it doesn't work very well. So, interesting name the doctors give it. But the point being, it doesn't cure you, the doctors, the medicine they give you. It gives you dopamine. And unfortunately, your brain continues to lose dopamine. So you get caught in this rut. So in doing so, that wasn't good enough for me. I went out and did research like I normally do. It's in the database business. So for me, research was something you do. And I found a Japanese study that basically said, we're trying to make a synthetic drug, but they couldn't do it. And I realized and understood what natural ingredient they were using, the particular cultivator they were using, and I sourced it. I went and found it. I had to go all over the place to try to get it because it wasn't something you normally find. I got it. I had to mill it myself. I had to figure out how to mill it cold. I had to do all sorts of things before I could take it in January. I took it for 6 months, and then in June is when I ran that marathon. I went from stage 3 Parkinson's to stage 1, and Alzheimer's disappeared. So for me, that was huge. And of course, as an entrepreneur, you go, why don't I cure the rest of the world?
Well, I mean, that is the even somebody who's not an entrepreneur would be like, I want to get this out to everybody, but I don't know how to do it, and it seems
Right.
overwhelming. Whereas an entrepreneur says, I can climb any mountain and I can solve the problem. So
Right.
you built a website and you sell it through the website, and this is a supplement, not a drug. Can we talk about the difference of what that means?
Sure. Drugs are have to be FDA approved. The Michael J. Fox Association, one of the biggest Parkinson's organizations, as a matter of fact, pointed out that it costs $2.5 billion in 10 years to make a new drug. I didn't have that 10-year time. As most people with Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or even dementia would say, I really need something now. Okay. So, we can't wait for that. There's a lot of new tests coming out and all that, but there's very few cures. There's some cancer medicines that are being repurposed, to try to solve problems, but the side effects are huge. The side effects I have from this supplement that I came up with is a little bit of gas. I can deal with that. My partner can, but but I can deal with it because it's a fiber-based type product. It comes from a seed. Okay, it's natural, which was very important nowadays. Everybody wants to try to get natural things if they can. And to me, reading the research, and it cured 3 neurological diseases with one supplement, I was amazed. But I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to make a $10,000 a month drug. I wasn't. I was just trying to cure myself. But then realizing when I cured myself and ran that marathon, other people wanted to get it. They said, why are you doing so well? And they were the first buyers of the product. I didn't have the website up yet. I didn't have the product. I didn't have a label for it. Okay. But I was like, here's a notepad, excuse the label. Here's what's in it. And you have to follow FDA rules in supplements. FDA rules in supplements are basically, you cannot say that it cures anything or anything. And I'm not saying I'm cured. I'm not. I'm stage 1. Okay. But the point is, if a natural ingredient can help you, the FDA kind of looks the other way and only really gets involved if they get complaints about some problem or some issue. You have to list everything on your labels properly. You have to list at the FDA their statement saying it doesn't cure anything, it doesn't treat anything or anything like that. But I also understand everyone's an adult. And everyone can look at things like that and go, I know what I'm taking. My doctor has already said every medicine out there I'm taking is not going to cure me. It's just going to push, your death down the road. So if I can take something else, no matter what it is, a vitamin, a supplement, and they do. I mean, people seek out all sorts of things. I'm just one of those things. It's just, I post all my medical records on my website. I show exactly how I'm getting better. And that is not any bit of problem. And for an entrepreneur, if you want to get around that problem a little bit, you make a book. In a book, you have freedom of speech. And so we're also coming out with a book that's all about what I did. And I have more freedom to talk about what it did for me. But I can't say that on the supplement.
Right. Do want to point out, like, nothing here cured you of anything. It helped with some of the symptoms, and you were able to run a marathon, which is a huge thing. I would like to, just for the entrepreneurs that are listening to this, this is a pretty fast turnaround, right? Like 6 months, you ran a marathon, you started shipping to some customers. What have been some of the challenges around growing the business?
Well, most of the challenges have been not what you'd think. They're not really fighting with the FDA or anything like that. Those weren't really challenges or problem. Pretty straightforward. You read the rules, you follow their rules, and you're good to go. That's not the issue. The issue was gaining trust, in people buying the product. If you're going to introduce something new, you have to back it up. I'm the founder of the company. But in addition to that, I am also someone with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So it's unusual to have that. A lot of companies start, the people selling any kind of supplement, they don't have those problems or issues. They have nothing to go on. I had something to go on. I could, and I'm not afraid to post my medical records. I can certainly do that. And I do that at mybrainrestore.com. I post my records under my journey. All my stuff is up there for everyone to see, because they're probably looking at their records and going, wow, I got that same thing. Or, yeah, that's the same record I came back. And look at the improvements. So I show everybody the improvements. My latest video I just put up there, matter of fact, shows me running up a flight of stairs at full speed. Okay. And I could have never done that. It was cement stairs. I would have been scared. I was actually wearing shoes that had steel-plated construction shoes that weighed 1.5 pounds each to not break my toes with Parkinson's. And Michael J. Fox has, obviously he's broken many bones in his body. He got it when he was 29. He always thought he got it on the movie sets. Mine came from Camp Lejeune, which has a 70% higher amount of Parkinson's than any other base in the United States. So it's all there.
So it's really cool that you post it online. You're writing a book. We talked about that. That does give you freedom of speech, and you can talk about whatever you want in the book. If you guys are interested in what the supplement is, the website, mybrainrestore.com, is listed in the show notes. Let's talk a little bit about Amazon, just because I would think this would be where you would want to post on Amazon.
Right. Yeah, and that is exactly what we're doing right now. We have Amazon brand protection has already been granted to us, which is something when you're an entrepreneur, make sure if you come out with certain things, you trademark or register whatever you need to do. So if you come up with a unique component, like we came up with ultra chill mill, where we actually chill the mill down, because this mill runs at 28,000 revolutions per minute. It is fast, and it's trying to grind a seed, so it gets very hot. And one of the things they found about this supplement, if you heat it up in any way, if it gets too hot, it doesn't work. It did not cure anything. So that was key. Okay, that became a key element to make sure we do it. So I trademarked that term. I trademarked our company name. This gives you brand protection on things like Amazon. And we're working on other trademarks I can't mention because we're in the middle of finishing up and getting them filed. But, we will continue to trademark. Now, it can become a question to people like, do I file a patent, on this? Well, you can, but you've got to realize too, the moment you file a patent on something, the world knows about it, exactly how you did it. So instead of filing a patent for this, and then talking to some venture capital people, they're like, why don't you just make it a secret formula, put what's on it, but how you do it or what you do in the background, you don't have to list. And therefore, it's a secret formula like secret spices. You go to your favorite rib place and ask them how they made it. They ain't going to tell you. Every food show you see, they don't tell you recipes. This secret ingredient, okay? And that kind of knocks out some of that competition if it were to arrive. But what I noticed about this, there was no competition. There was nobody doing what I was doing. I would have bought it if I could have gotten it. But most of the time, this product is either cooked or put in hot water to make like a tea or something like that. Well, again, the scientists pointing out that
if you heat it, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No, and no one knew that. That was the amazing part.
Well, I want to talk for a little bit about then marketing wise, so the people that you ran the marathon with that asked for it, have they had the same results?
They are behind me in the sense of the time periods. They're just now starting to get there to 6 months. I've had some amazing stories. One of them was a lady that I don't know. She's just someone I talked to, and she said, I always held my partner's hand because I have Parkinson's. When I go down this nature trail, we walk down it almost every day, but I had to hold his hand to walk down that trail. And she goes, after taking a product for a couple months, I let go of his hand. And I walked all the way down that trail by myself. And that was the most heart-wrenching, just, pulled on my heart, that she was able to do this. She goes, don't let me run out. I have a subscription. I will call you if I don't get it or something. I need to keep taking this. The other one was a doctor who has noticed more strength. He tries to do lifting weights. And, a lot of Parkinson's people try to do that. It doesn't last very long because as your dopamine levels fall, you lose control. You get the shakes. But he could do like 3 reps. But after taking this, he could do 10. And he said, I can feel strength. I feel more balance. I still have trembles and everything else. I still have tremors. But, those stories coming to me were amazing. They were justification, to keep pushing forward. And a lot of those have asked me to set up a forum. They want to be involved in a group. So we are going to set up a forum so that people can come in and talk and share everything. We feel that's very important. It's a good entrepreneur thing to do because you're people that are essentially having time to get cured. I don't want to say cured, to get better, essentially are in fact your greatest people clapping behind you. You know, they're your audience. So you got to make sure that they're happy. I've had one person who called and said, "Hey, we went on a trip and we forgot it. We forgot it. We're going to be away for 2 weeks. You know, oh my gosh!" I said, "Don't worry about it. I will overnight it to you and get it to you. I didn't charge them done. I say, here, just you got it. You can take care of it. You know." And that's the way we work. We answer the phone. We don't use AI to answer the phone. We deal with older people. You know, you
Yeah.
got to think of your audience when you're an entrepreneur. You have to understand your audience. If you fail to do that, you will not sell anything, and you will not get them to continue to purchase. Our product is a subscription-based product for the most part, so it's also what in venture capital you call evergreen.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally sitting there making money. You're getting orders. You're just getting told what to ship. And as we get on Amazon, it's going to be bang, bang, bang. And actually, I was frightened to get on Amazon because I've seen some other supplements out there and they sell $500,000 a month, you know, and they're brain supplements. They don't do what mine does, but it's
Well,
like,
you're going to have, I mean, it's interesting to think about supply chain as this grows, right? I mean, that's
yes.
the entrepreneur side of your brain looking at. Yeah, I mean, it sounds great to sell $500,000 a month until you have to mill, package, and ship.
Right. Yeah. It's like having a hot car. You go to the dealer and I want it, and they go, they're gone for the year.
Yeah, you're gonna have to figure that out. But that's a good challenge to have. I think, I mean, one, I love the idea of community. I
Yeah.
think that's actually where this is gonna sell the best.
Right.
Um, I don't know what venture cap has told you, but I kind of see this if you laid it out as a, I hate saying the words, but if you laid it out as an MLM,
Mm-hmm.
because people in your age bracket like they would appreciate extra income,
Right. Yeah.
and having it laid out as that would grow it very quickly because everybody talks to everybody.
And everyone of that group knows someone with Alzheimer's, Parkinson, or dementia. You are
Exactly.
exactly right. And believe me, we're already looking at that level of how do we get to those seniors. We can certainly give them percentages, and they're getting percentages of a subscription-based product.
Right.
So
That's
what do they
exactly.
get? And I would grant that to them that they get into the evergreen part of it too.
Yeah,
Um,
that I mean that's exactly it builds their monthly income a little bit and
yeah,
it
it's your
helps them
new
feel
social
better.
security.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's a that is a great place to be. I guess the question that I would ask maybe like where do you see this going in the next 6 to 8 months and what has venture cap told you?
Well, I've had a few venture capital people come to me, but being in the past, being in the computer industry and, you know, venture capital people chasing you all over the place. And I've had, I should say, some good venture capital people who put in millions of dollars, and some bad ones, you
Yeah.
know, who wanted to take over my programmers and developers and somehow tell them how to code when they didn't even understand what they did, you know, and those people are terrible. So a couple of people have come to me and I didn't like their presentation, literally, you know, what they wanted to do. And nothing's going to stop me from changing the quality of the product and the people that I'm selling to and the way I'm selling it. That's just not going to happen. But I'm very open to venture capital, and people who get in will understand. And we have, you know, on our website, you know, you know, if you're an interested investor, you can put in, you know, your information. We're all for that. I mean, I'm all for it, but they need to be silent partners and understand the group we're selling to. Now, having said that, I've had two different people tell me, don't you think gamers would buy this? Because one of the things this is a preventive to get Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. But in the mice studies, they found it fixed healthy mice and made their memory better by 20%. And I'm like, wow, that's another market. So as an entrepreneur, you look at, well, maybe I need to repackage this and move into a different market set that could use it. Keep in mind also, cats and dogs get dementia. Okay. This product is a natural product. I have a 13-year-old border collie. Guess what she takes?
Sure.
And she's still sharp. Okay. But for a while, she was getting not sharp. So do we move into those markets and go to big companies like Chewy.com or Petco or something like that? These are all possibilities you have to look at as to how you branch out, use your product in different ways, change the amount that maybe is given because of body weight and things of that elements. But my own dog's taking it, and border collies don't normally live that long, so that's a good thing.
I mean, you're looking at the entrepreneur as a whole, right? Like you're visionary and you're like, I can do all these things. I think it'll take off where it is for sure. And you'll help a lot of people who really need the help. But then coming out with some kind of nootropic, like that is a $1 billion marketplace. And it's not just gamers. I mean,
Yeah,
you think about anyone who's in college, you think about anybody who has a high pressure job that needs to remember a lot of things.
right.
This is a huge marketing chance there. But it's first get your supply chain where it
Yeah.
needs to be, get everything going where it needs to be. But it's awesome that you're helping yourself. And this all came, I love that you ran a marathon. I think that's the best proof. I think if you went, I mean, from a marketing standpoint, getting out there and doing these things creates a media buzz, which then in
Right.
turn creates more sales. And
Right.
people will go so quickly to try it because people that are in that have this challenge, they're willing to try anything.
Absolutely. No,
And
I
that's
agree with you. No, you're desperate at that point. There's no doubt.
yeah.
I was desperate. I was right there. So okay, I'm going to eat what the mice took. I don't care. Just come to the next mouse. I mean, that was the desperate level I was at because my doctor was like, I said, what's going to happen in the future? You're going to die. You have to know my doctor. Yeah. And I understand where they were coming from. I watched a friend die of Parkinson's and dementia. I mean, it was horrible
It's
to
tough.
watch. And it's very horrible on the caregivers. The caregivers are the family and everything are all beside themselves because grandpa or dad has got problems or mom or whatever it is. And you can think about any hope. And one banker told me, said, when I set up the bank account for the company, said, if you can make people just 10% better, they'll buy it.
Oh, that's 100% true. And it's honestly like going to the people
Mm-hmm.
is one path, but going to the caretakers, you think about the 45 to 60-year-olds that are taking care of aging parents that are seeing the decline. If they can spend $100 a month to
All right.
make the quality of life better, they will
Better.
gladly spend that.
Yeah. And
Um,
think of nursing homes.
yeah.
Think about the staff. They got one nurse to 10 patients. They can't get to them all because, this person can't get out of bed or this person can't do it. If that changes, okay, in any way that they are just a little bit better, okay, that takes the burden off the nursing staff. And that's huge. Okay. So, and we have a shortage of nurses in the United States, so with all that going on, these things make sense. And I think we fit in multiple categories. And I hope I get investors that understand that and not try to change things.
Yeah.
But trust me, I'm not someone who will sell the company. But also from an entrepreneur stand, I did set it up as a Delaware Class C corporation. The reason I did that, it can back into an IPO or do whatever. It's very, that's the way you do it. If you do a subchapter S or something like that, you're going to less attract investors in that point because they don't see the upside of that. So I set it up the harder way, but on the other hand, it's the bigger way.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, Mark, I want to say thank you for coming on and sharing. If you guys want to learn about this, we are listing it in the show notes. You can go to mybrainrestore.com. Mark, is there anything you want to leave our listeners with?
I guess so. I would say that if you're an entrepreneur and you're facing battles, and I'll go back to my computer industry. Okay. When I was in the computer industry, you had to have a degree in computer engineering, okay, to go get a job at a company. So what I decided to do as an entrepreneur, very simply, was I set and formed a company. We started doing programming. I brought in all the misfits, all the people just coded in their basement, didn't have a degree, brought them all in. We all could do databases. We knocked it out. And I went and I learned one thing really quickly. If you go to a company and call yourself a programming company and you go to another company, they don't ask you what degrees you have.
It's very
Simple.
true.
Simple, right? They're just, well, they must be amazing. They're a programming company. None of us had degrees, yet we programmed for the AOL, American Online. We programmed for the International Monetary Fund, Charles Schwab. We did everybody big. Okay. We were there. No one cared.
You're 100% correct. I like it. Well, Mark, thank you for coming on and sharing to everybody else out there. Make sure you click the link. Check this out. If you know somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia, or somebody who's taking care of somebody who does, get them the link. Let them try
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
it.
Good
My
talking.
pleasure. We'll see you all next time here on Grow Your Impact, Income, and Influence. Have an amazing day.